Testing system.
All right, cool. I think we're live. So obviously not been on a couple of days, whole world. We're trying out a different setup tonight, kind of turning this whole place into a little studio of sorts. Got a nice camera up there. We have audio and video run through an optical HDMI, and it's a very long cord. HDMI traditionally can only go about 10 feet before you get signal degradation. I think the most I've pushed it's like 15 feet, but this is a 150-foot cable, so pretty exciting. Have been recording some long form updates, kind of to capture like the whole past 3-4 months of doing consistent development streams. Consistent up until the last couple of days, but that's okay. Had to get the house in order. Still got a lot of work to do. But we have one more room unlocked, so that's exciting. We've got nice, lovely bay windows out here. We will go ahead though and activate our chat system and just start a lot of light and easy tonight. All right, so YouTube live chat's hooked up now. Just a little refresh on how this whole stream works and what actually I've got on here. You'll see the top of my screen on YouTube, that is my code environment. And currently I'm connected to that via remote desktop. It's actually still in the office. I'll be figuring out a smoother setup for that within the coming days. I do have a additional USB-C optical, which is about 150 feet as well. So we'll use that to transmit HDMI and set up little stations all around the house, because there's different areas in the house that I want to develop and show you things. Like I have a whole game development library in my living room, and I spend a lot of time out there coding, and it'd be cool to make that part of the streams as well. Since this is a first test, just let's make sure we're coming through okay. Yeah, for any folks watching this at 3 or 4 in the morning, if you type into the live chat, your comments get read out into the stream after going through the AI moderation filter, and you get a little avatar, and you get a unique text-to-speech voice. And it's actually one of the features that I'm going to be improving over the coming week, is getting text-to-speech chorus voices implemented. That way, like currently right now, a lot of TTS systems you'll see on Twitch and stuff, it reads out one message at a time. And kind of experiment with something a little different, like stacking and layering voices, make it sound maybe more like a bloody coffee shop or a bar or something. It'd be interesting. And since I always don't have a lot of engagement while I'm developing it, we can actually hook up to other people's channels and like clip stuff from it. So that's pretty cool. I think for tonight, since we're going to be keeping this relatively short, unless we get any good JavaScript questions, we're going to just introduce some additional buttons to control OBS remotely. Now the end goal here is to have this entire system that you see me speaking through to eventually replace OBS. One of the last things I have to do in order to do that is to take a WebRTC stream and convert that into an RTMP stream, which can then be pushed out to YouTube directly, it can be pushed out to Kick directly, it can be pushed out to Twitch. And once we have that done, we'll essentially have a complete OBS-like system, but in the web browser tab. So right now, when I run code or I run video into these streams, it's all done wirelessly. I could just pick up my phone right now, turn it on and have another camera angle, or turn on his microphone. And essentially, if you were to like set that up in OBS, if you want to stream in OBS, you have to wire-in cameras. Essentially, you know, you plug in a USB-C camera, or you plug in a capture card and then capture your camera HDMI output that way. There is some wireless solutions, but they are paid. Like NDI has a solution, but I don't believe it's over LAN. This solution built in the web browser is inherently LAN. It's inherently driven by that. It's a peer-to-peer connection over WebRTC. I do use Peer.js as a wrapper at this time, although I'm feeling like I need more control over it. So eventually we'll phase that out as well, but that's much lower priority. That's just a client-side library that makes the WebRTC handshaking process a little less painful. While we get a lot for free in the browser, some of these APIs are not as developer-friendly as they could be. So what I was just going to start off with, if I remember which React component this was, give me a little second to reboot my brain here. Typically what I do is I scroll over relevant code or parts of the system I worked on recently, kind of load everything back into RAM being my brain. So just quick reminder on the system here.
Hello from Indonesia.
Programmed entirely in JavaScript. The majority of the system is built out in React and Canvas and WebGL. And then, of course, you have a backend that's a little bit different than how most web developers build PWAs or websites, because I'm actually using WebSockets, which is interesting because WebRTC connections are essentially built on WebSockets as well. So that worked out great. Because I've had some questions like, hey, why don't you use Next.js for, you know, your system that you're building? And the truth is, I don't have many calls that are traditional RESTful.
Hello, bro.
Ooh, someone said something. What is up in Indonesia? Hope the weather's treating you well over there. Are you interested in programming? If everything worked right, you should have heard yourself on the stream. I appreciate the likes, folks. That's awesome. Make sure you subscribe, and there is a Discord links in my channel profile as well. We've built up quite a little community over there. I think there's 76 people in there now, which is pretty cool just for getting on here and developing and talking about what building, and having folks interested enough to head over.
Forest Green says, can you make a CS2 cheat?
Counter-Strike 2? Is that what CS2 is? Or Counter-Source. Forgive me, I'm a wee bit old. Played a lot of Counter-Source in that back in the day. I still have the same Steam account that I had back then. So I've been meaning to release the translate command into the YouTube system, so it can automatically translate people's languages. I'll definitely have to go to the notebook here. Let's see if I've got a bloody pen. I don't think so. Typically I code in my office. I have all my electronics in there, but I have a server in there as well, so it's loud, it's hot. I run a big air conditioner in there, and so that's why I'm trying out this little area setup tonight. All right, let's take a look here. Let's pull up the UI. Look at all those tabs. Okay, so if we go into settings and then OBS up here. All right, that's enough information for me to search what I need, but these buttons essentially control the
What is your name?
OBS stream. What is my name? My name is Will. and I am from Scotland, but I live in Florida. So that's called OBS, I believe. Yes. Okay, here we go. What we're going to do is we're going to add an additional button group to just switch between scenes really quickly. Let's take another look here. So you won't be able to see this on YouTube because I'm doing portrait streams there. That's the only way I've found to get some discoverability, you know, being a tiny channel on YouTube. But I do simulcast stream to Twitch and Kick. And if you see right here, I've got all these little different panels that let me control the chat integrations. And currently we are live on YouTube. That's what this little system is. I can populate the viewers and likes. Let's do that right now. You'll see a little stream health increase or get worse. And I'll keep an eye on my screen. Hopefully that comes through. We're about to find out. I think there's about 10-second delay between when you send a message and I hear it. I might have to go press a button on the Stream Deck. Like I said, this is the first time we're testing streaming out in different parts of the house. Yeah, I think we might have to make a quick trip to the office. If I cleaned up the house a little bit more, I'd be able to bring you with me. But I'm gonna have a quick look. All right, yeah, I had to walk through and manually press the buttons that I coded to update the counters for the stream. Technically, we could have these automatic, but one of the issues is we have a limited amount of tokens with the YouTube API that we can use. And my main thing is to use those to ensure I can load in chat comments, because that's kind of what makes these streams. All right, how do I want to lay this out? I think what we'll do is we'll make an additional stack. So a stack is essentially like a flex box, flex grid. You can set direction. In this case, it's horizontal. And I just want to make some quick scene switching for when I make the long form videos that I stream to Twitch and that. I want to make it just easier when I'm out and about. Like I have another place by the beach, and as it cools down a little bit, I'll be more open to developing over there as well. And consider this a little practice run for that. So do we want to make another component for this? I don't think so. The cool thing about React and JavaScript is you can literally nest your components. We might have to do that here. Although I do want to warn you with React and Vue-free, some things that appear easy do have performance implications that you might not find out about immediately. And yeah, you want to be aware of that, especially when you're building projects such as I've built here that has hundreds of components on the front end. When you first see it, it looks quite simple. It's because the art is actually, most of the art comes from a game from the same name that I made when I was about 12 years old. That's like how I learned how to program in the first place. I'm completely self-taught. I've been doing this for about 20 years now. And I guess I just never lost the passion and or dream to actually complete a game. But I have kind of large expectations for myself there. Okay. Well, let's just pop this in a dev right now. in React and in Vue, you can only have one core element that you actually return in your template. So there's a lot of similarities between React and Vue 3. I develop, I'm a Vue 3 developer currently during the day at my day job. I've been at that company, God, maybe 3 or 4 years now. I've had a lot of opportunities to work in interesting projects there. It's one of the largest companies that I've worked for, at least development team wise. So what do I mean by that? I mean like literally working with a large amount of departments, front end and back end, for example, separated out in web development. And I've been around long enough in web development that was not always a thing. Like if you built websites, you built them from back end to front end. There was no separation in that. And what we called it back then was server side for back end and client side for front end, which I think is a little bit more accurate. So I'm not too happy that we kind of lost that. For rendering our scene group here, I think what we're going to do is just map over an array of objects that contain our favorite scene names. Hard code it right now. We can easily move that into our NoSQL MongoDB setup. But just for easy coding, we'll just literally populate it manually. What should we call it? Quick scene options. Sometimes the hardest part of programming is figuring out what to name your variables, your functions, your properties. I recommend you just make them verbose, explain exactly what they are, avoid writing a comment, and describe your code as you write it. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to make an object here, and we want a name property. And I've set this system up so we can invoke OBS actions from the client side to the server side, and we can actually get a response back. So if you look up here, I can await a Kynto.call, and I pass in my event name, and then I pass in my action, specify it's supposed to go to the server, and then I can await that promise and then essentially output it, which is brilliant. So what do we get back here? Let's look over our current renderer. We have a drop-down, a React Bootstrap drop-down, which I programmed in here, OBS scene list. And we're just going to take a look at what properties I'm utilizing in there. And I believe it's something like literally scene name. Okay, got you. The problem is I do have it automatically fetching all the scenes. So like if I pull the system up right here, I go into settings, I go into OBS, I click fetch state, connect. All right, we're connected to OBS, fetch state. So you'll see these are all the available scenes that can automatically be selected. The problem is a lot of these scenes are what I call nested scenes. They're scenes that shouldn't be an option to select, right? Because one of the most powerful things about OBS, with this scene building, is you can nest scenes. So say I do a screen capture on my streaming system here, right? Which I've done for portrait and horizontal streams. It essentially captures the audio and the video output of the browser, right? And that's how I'm transmitting my code and my video to you. But to make things easy, I put that in a scene and then I pull it into the additional scenes when I need it. And it's listing everything here. We could come up with a naming convention for scene options that I want to be an option. Adding something to the start or the end of the string name here. And we could do that in OBS, and that could populate our quick button select. So that's most definitely an option. But let's just populate, let's just get coding. Frack it. All right. we'll call it OBS scene buttons. We also have our OBS scene list. And what we're going to accept in here is an array of scenes to render. And then similarly to our OBS scene list, we're also going to implement a callback for select scene. That way we don't have to muddy up our presentation layer with the actual logic that handles the scene selection. It's always good when you're programming and trying to build something modular that you break up your concerns. So have something handle your presentation layer, have another act as your controller. I'm not going to say it's MVC, it's more HMVC, and loose at that. I've had an opportunity to work with a lot of different systems. One of the most hyper MVC systems I've ever worked with was a C# web development. And it's been so long now, it's been over 10 years since I did that. Easy. But alright, let's carry on here. We get away with doing this. Let's see if that's even legal to do in React. Sometimes I like to push the limits, be a wee bit greedy. Alright, let's come back down here. So we pop it in this additional stack we've done. And we'll type in OBS scene button. We're going to pass in an existing array of scenes, and then we're just going to populate our select scene handler. We already have that defined up here, so we can just go ahead and reuse it. Alrighty. Let's see. Let's close all my additional tabs up here from the last couple of streams I did. Alright, let's load up our local environment. Our server might be down, so let me check that look at that. I might have to run to the office to actually restart this because it's being grumpy. Alright. And hello, how are you? Let's go take a look. Right, about to walk to the office. Thankfully my noise cancellation is pretty good, or you'd be getting blasted with the sound of server and air conditioning. All right, we should be back in business. So I've never had that before on OS X when my terminal literally crashed. I actually like OS X a lot for development. I got into it because of my current job I'm at. I've always been a Linux and you know, dealt with Windows as I've had to. It's really nice. All right, should be able to reload now. Unless we have a JavaScript error. Which we do. Unexpected token. Nope, that's because we have a duplicate opener here. You barely see it on this screen. Alright, let that recompile. Grab our browser, reload it. There we go, finally. Success. Alright, let's open up. Oof. Alright, it's because we don't have any scenes to find. We didn't do any guarding here, that's what I get for... traditionally I like to get on and do development streams pretty much every weeknight. Which weeknight for me, so do make sure you're subscribed because you'll get to see this project grow. Okay, so we're going to say if different than scene's length, return. Simple little guard. I'm a kind of a man that likes to put his guarding right at the top. I prefer not to nest my statements, so you'll see a lot of flat functions, at least as flat as possible. Okay, we're going to connect. I'm going to fetch state. Well, we have our scenes here, but we're not rendering any of the buttons yet. So we're going to have to investigate what's going on here. Probably because we're not setting a key in here. You're supposed to set a key when you map over an array of objects to render elements in React. And I'm sure most of you already know that, but I'm just going to call it the obvious as I go through this. A wee bit of lag, but it's okay. So we did our key here properly, which is what we should have done. Should have done that the whole time. Okay, we're already connected. Fetch state. Populating our scenes, we still don't have anything here. That's fine. Unvalidated in React. If you pass in an empty element, is that essentially creating an actual div that's rendered in the document object model, or is it not? I do think it's less problematic than. Ooh, we don't want that. Ooh, that's because we didn't name our scenes properly. That's why we weren't rendering. Whoops. Okay, should be good to go now. Oh, still not good to go. One of the things I tell developers that are getting into learning how to code, because it could be incredibly discouraging when you're first starting out. one of the things that surprisingly makes them feel a little bit better is when you tell them that doesn't get any better. You just get more confident in yourself that you'll be able to figure it out. That's all development is at the end of the day. You're constantly testing, adjusting, and just seeing how far you can push stuff. That's the whole point, isn't it? I think so. Oh, let's go. My ESLint messing up. Okay, there's our buttons. Perfect. So now I've done this. If we click on any of these buttons here, and see, you can't see my actual computer that I'm physically out here with. Traditionally, you can see everything that happens on my screen when I develop in the office. But that's okay. What I could do is in OBS we'll add something to the scene label name. So essentially we can clean this list up. That way we should only have like 4 or 5 buttons that are frequently used that we'll be able to pull up and have there all the time. And once we have the scene selection done, we'll come back and add some additional controls to mute the microphone that I have hanging on my chest, stuff like that. But I consider this a successful test, guys. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you like the video. Looks like we got an additional like. Thank you for that. And also join a Discord. It's in my profile if you're interested in coding, whatever. And yeah, just come over and introduce yourself, say hello. All right, I'm going to use my system here to shut down the stream. And I can actually show you how I do that. I'll bring it right up to the camera. Every time I let it go is when stuff changes, but let's see. Let's try a little scene selector real quick for Twitch, see what that does, if it works. So to do that, I'm going to put Twitch on the computer here. Check this out, using WebRTC as well. I have my whole system transmitting in the background of my project here. It's absolutely really cool. I wonder if that's get picked up. I think so. Probably. Right, so now I have the Twitch environment up here on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and test a little button we just coded. Let's check our code first because we were handling it for drop down. Maybe if we populate this event key, that'll be enough. Let's find out. Select scene. Alright, so here's WebSockets. All we have to do is pass in our scene object. Yeah, but are we just passing in a name? Or are we passing in the entire scene? It's kind of enough to know that. Let's see. Oof. I'm definitely going to be running another couple of optical HDMI cords, so I don't have to do a remote desktop. Because even in the house, it's terrible. I suppose that's why I'm coding my own. Works better. However, key combinations I've not quite figured out yet how to effectively capture those. And you need key combos a lot while working in VS Code. So it's probably the main reason I haven't have a capitalized C. Oh my god. Nobody was paying attention because you would have been able to tell me I misspelled select. The first rule of getting into programming or being a programmer is you immediately correct everybody that you come into contact with. Otherwise you've got no hope. Okay. Come on, lag.
Elmer Sameduff says, what are you coding, brother?
Hello, Elmer. So the system I'm building is currently the system that you are seeing on your screen. Hopefully you heard your comment in chat get read out, right? So there's a lot going on in this system, but the heart of it, it gives every live chat an avatar and a text-to-speech voice that's unique to them. And it's also how I transmit my video and my coding environment. So currently I'm building out the OBS controller, which handles scene switching and stuff like that, and starting and stopping the stream. So I'm just getting that a little bit more refined. It's currently 3:40 AM where I'm at, so we're going as quick as we can. Okay, so our buttons are here. Let's see if we can switch over to one of these. We want to click it. I think this was it. Yeah. What I can actually do is I'll open it on the development machine so you can see this work. Hopefully it's muted and I don't blow you guys up with additional audio. Alright, let's open another tab here for a little test. Okay, So Kik has pretty low latency, right? We just coded a little scene switcher. I'm going to reduce the amount of buttons you see up here, but check this out. So click through some of the different scenes here. You can see it's where it's my office, and then it's a whole other camera. We'll go right back to what we have. Awesome. It's always good to see stuff work smoothly, but the reason I started even streaming to these different platforms where nobody watches in the first place is because I want to record long-form videos on YouTube. Like, I've had a lot of experiences interacting with really cool people as I've been building this system. And there's a ton of moments that I want to get captured in video and put it out there on YouTube, and just, you know, eventually people share and like interesting things. And I do think this is interesting. It's a little bit different, and it's completely coded from scratch, which is important, considering how much of the stuff today is, you know, vibe coded or what have you. All right, so we're happy with that, right? What we want to do possibly is put a filter in here. And what we'll do is we'll check to see if the scene name contains something that I don't want it to contain. Let's see, ignore scenes with name. And we'll put a little string in here. We could just put, well, we've got two options. Why don't we just flag our scenes we actually want to show? So we'll do show scenes with name. What should we call it? We'll call it live. We'll call it underscore live. So at the end of every scene name that we want to have a button generated for an OBS, I'll put underscore live, and that'll be enough to filter this once we build a little filter. We could build our filter right into the scenes map. If we did that somewhere else, let's have a look. Okay. And so we could essentially grab this. Well, maybe I don't want it in the drop down either, so maybe this is the best place to put it. Let's see, so this is some regex here. Different V. I appreciate the additional like, folks. Do make sure you're subscribing, and you check out Discord links in the profile. Let's quickly Google something on regex here. Found with most programmers, regex isn't my most favourite thing in the world, but it's definitely powerful. It's definitely one of those things as well where AI makes your life a wee bit easier, but I'm always a fan of understanding like why or how things work, as opposed to just, you know, here's my problem, give me the answer. Because then you're more better equipped to deal with it in the future, or even write your own bloody regex interpreter if you so desire. And Gray, a programmer I've known since he was probably like 15 or something, maybe even younger. He's written his own languages a couple of times. I've done it once. Just kind of one of those things that I feel like every kid programmer goes through is wanting to make their own language. And regex, in a sense, is a language because you have logic in there, and conditionals, all sorts of stuff. All right, I think we better shut this down now. It's 3:47 a.m. So unless any of you guys folks have any JavaScript questions, or code questions, or want to talk about what you're building or what you're hoping to build, we'll start shutting this down momentarily. It's good to be back though. It's nice to be in a more open environment. When I first moved into this house, I actually had my office. Well, it was in the garage, which is directly behind the camera. And I had like a giant office in there. It was huge. 3D printers, all sorts of shit. I had a motorbike in there. Sometimes I put my car in my office. Eventually, you know, I just got too much stuff and ended up moving my office into this spot. And it's actually like a tiny spot. It's like supposed to be like a dining room. The kitchen's over there. And then I had my office in another room, which someone else occupied for 6 years. They are no longer here, but I'm still packing their stuff up. But it's almost completely out the main part of the house. It's just some furniture in the garage and furniture and some additional boxes and her former little stream room as well. So okay, I was probably saved by the bell there. Battery just died. It's probably telling me not let bygones be bygones, which is probably a good idea, but I'm just excited about my new spot here. I advise, at least for me, I just do better having my own space. Doesn't matter how much you like a person, eventually it gets old. You have to just be around the same person all the time. All right. I'm really happy with this camera though. I have a lot of out and about shoots and pictures and stuff that I've been taking. I'll probably add an Instagram link to the profile. What else do we have to do? Got a lot to do. Oh man. And we'll have to figure out a plan for this weekend, because somehow I managed to end up with 2 locations. It's been ridiculous. This whole year has been absolutely ridiculous and tormenting, for sure. But one of the good things about this year is I've been working on this system almost every night, and being able to meet cool people, and even been told got some folks into programming, encourage or inspire them to continue, which is, you know, who doesn't want to hear that? That's awesome. I'm just curious if we can get away with just turning a scene's map here. Oofed. A bit of lag, you have to bear with me. I had a poor bee die in here tonight. Yeah, that works just fine. Okay, we just need to limit these buttons. And we should be able to have a way to automatically stack them on the next line. Oh, I just realized on Kick and Twitch we didn't switch this back. Let's see. Damn it. I've lost the setup here. Let's see. Did we lose our camera completely? Where are we? Okay, we're just on the wrong scene. Makes sense. That's better. That's what I wanted the whole time. Okay. Alright, well, this is cool. I watched too many scary movies tonight to stick around any longer, so shutting this down. Alright, folks. Catch you later.